I'm not going to do it. I'm going to put it in the hands of our experts. Ryan Clark, you lead us off. What is your draft day declaration?
The Pittsburgh Steelers do not have to draft a quarterback in the first round. And I get it. They have to have one if they want to compete. But look at what Mike Tomlin has done with mediocre quarterbacks year after year. And that's also why they're in this place. You draft Kenny Pickett 20th overall in a year that you shouldn't have selected him. And now you've continued to keep your team in quarterback purgatory. If the guy isn't there at 21,
I love it. Schrager, declare.
I love it. I love it from RC right out of the gates. I'm going number 5, Jacksonville. He's only a 5'8" running back at a position we don't value in the league anymore. But I've got the Jacksonville Jaguars taking Ashton Genty, 5th overall. Only 5.
Was spitting up his coffee this morning. Meek, what is yours?
Oh, I know one thing that I'm going to say tomorrow morning is, wow, the Eagles got a steal. Because that is what we say every year around this time, because they kind of do end up with Quinyon Mitchell last year and Cooper DeJean in the second round, Jalen Carter the year before. It seems like the teams that are really talented happen to draft really well, and players that you imagine fitting into to a situation like that, you know will work out well for a team like the Eagles.
Funny how that works. Yeah. They win doing it. Dan Graziano, give you that draft day declaration.
2 quarterbacks will be selected in round 1, and Shedeur Sanders will not be one of them. It's been hard to find a lot of really excited buzz about Shedeur the last couple of weeks. You are hearing a lot of positive things about Mississippi's Jaxson Dart as maybe the guy that the Giants or the Browns or some other team might want to trade back up into the first round to possibly secure. So yeah, if the Steelers don't take Shedeur Sanders at 21, I think it's entirely possible we're still sitting here tomorrow morning wondering where he's going to go.
Yeah, could you imagine that? We're sitting here tomorrow morning recapping the first round of the draft. 2 quarterbacks go. One of them is not Shedeur Sanders, so Gras says Dart might well go ahead of Shedeur, who slips to round 2. Ryan Clark, your reaction?
Well, I mean, the first thing is I know that guys like Dan Graziano, Peter Schrager, Adam Schefter, they aren't just pulling these things from thin air. They're having the conversation with some of the decision makers. So this is a real thing. And if it's a real thing, this is because the evaluation of the quarterbacks by each team specifically says that Shedeur Sanders isn't the quarterback that they want in the first round. He isn't the quarterback that they could project being someone that steps into the building, has the maturity, has the professionalism and the skill to be a franchise quarterback. And I believe that that's wrong. In the way that I've looked at these guys, in the way that I've studied their tape, I believe that there's things that Shedeur Sanders can do that Jaxson Dart has not yet mastered, and I don't know if you can teach him to do those things. The long ball is the difference between the two. Jaxson Dart with a stronger arm, but if Shedeur Sanders is to fall, his hope should be that he falls into a place like Cleveland with the Kevin Stefanski, where his skill set will match, and it'll go from run to play action first. It's not always about when you're drafted, but where you're drafted. And he has to have the humility to understand that.
Schrager, your thoughts on the Dart declaration?
It's interesting. I think, I put out this mock draft yesterday, and I had the Steelers taking Shedeur at 21 and Jaxson Dart being selected at the end of the first round with the Giants moving up. As that mock draft goes out, you click submit, you put it out into the ether, and that's when all the teams start texting you and say, whoa, wait about this, what about this, what about this? I think Dart could go before Shedeur. I do think Dart can go before Shedeur. I don't necessarily know if it's at 20 or 21 or 22 and it's a team trading back, or if, Matt, it's at 33 or 34 before Shedeur Sanders. That's how this might go tonight. I'd say buckle up. We've had NFL drafts in recent memory where we had 6 quarterbacks taken in the first 12 picks a year ago. Yeah. We always get quarterbacks up top. If you're a person who worships the quarterback position and you're all about the quarterback position, make plans Thursday night, but make plans Friday night also. There's a chance that these guys go on night 2. That's how I'm hearing it as we head towards the draft this evening.
Yeah, obviously no one can predict how these players' careers can go. I think Ryan pointed to the point, or alluded to the point, that the destination matters a lot more in certain situations, particularly when you're getting later in the draft. The top of the draft, you're going to have like superstar physical standout guys that you would assume no matter the situation could overcome it. But guys like Shedeur and Jaxson Dart are guys that could be incredible in the right spot. I think that although, like, I get the buzz around Jaxson Dart moving up is, like, relatively new and it's not insane, it's shocking to me. I think I align more with RC in that what I've watched, if I had to pick one of those guys, the skills and the toughness and the decision-making, not that Jaxson Dart doesn't have it. Shedeur has it in a way that I would believe in more. I'm not sure that I believe in either of them as high as they would want to go.
I mean, that gets to the whole issue, right, of the subjectivity of quarterback evaluation. The Giants, for example, have done all kinds of work on all these guys. They've studied Shedeur Sanders. They've studied Jaxson Dart. They've had private workouts. My understanding as of last night on making these phone calls is that the Giants have kind of settled on Dart as their preference in terms of the non-Cam Ward quarterbacks in this draft. So now it's a question of what do you do? What do you have to do to get him? Can you sit at 34 and expect him to still be there? Or do you get antsy if you're the Giants and think about maybe making that trade up?
And that's the fascinating stuff. It's the who, but then the when we see these picks tonight. Okay, we've talked about the betting markets yesterday with who's going to take Shedeur Sanders as we pivot to that. Like a human Bitcoin, it just kind of fluctuates. Betting markets now have the Steelers at 21. Taking Shedeur Sanders. They moved into the favorite spot overnight, late afternoon. So, Graz, what is the up-to-minute latest news on the Steelers and Shedeur at 21?
The Steelers like Shedeur Sanders. They had a positive experience with him when he was in their building talking to them. The coaching staff likes him. Mike Tomlin, the offensive coordinator, Arthur Smith. So the question is he the guy you would take at 21? I think it's possible that they do. I also think the Steelers, who don't have a second-round pick, would be interested at 21 and maybe moving down if somebody wants to come up to that 21 spot for whatever reason, and maybe adding another pick on Friday night because they want to make sure they have more of those. If that happens, are they more likely to take Shedeur Sanders at whatever, 28 or wherever they move down to? It's possible. The Steelers know they have other needs. Defensive linemen, defensive tackle's a big one for them, and there's a lot of good ones in this year's first round. So they could, as Ryan Clark suggested, pass on quarterback and look at, other options in free agency, trades, and, of course, next year's draft.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the Steelers is one team that should learn from making a forced quarterback selection in a weak quarterback draft. And I think that they did that last time with Kenny Pickett and missed out on other players that could potentially help them because you're drafting for need at such a high value position. You never want to be drafting for need, and particularly at that position where you start to overvalue the talent and miss out on someone who could actually help your roster.
And Ryan Clark, you know this organization is good, if not better than anyone. What should the Steelers do when they're on the clock tonight? Because Nick makes a great point. We've been here before with them, and it didn't work.
Yeah, I think they should pick the best football player. Honestly, when I think back to that draft with Kenny Pickett and Malik Willis, I thought that's what they were going to do at 20 that year. But that was Kevin Colbert trying to leave his mark, trying to basically give the Pittsburgh Steelers their Lamar Jackson as he was walking out of the building. And that just didn't pan out. That didn't work out with the kid Kenny Pickett from Pitt. I believe if you're sitting at 21 and you believe in Shedeur Sanders or you believe in Jaxson Dart, then you pick him. If you think that you have the infrastructure to allow him to succeed in a way that no quarterback has since Ben Roethlisberger, then you have to pull the trigger because it's time to stop waiting on getting your guy. But if you don't have that full belief, if you don't feel that in your bones, if we're talking to Shedeur Sanders, you don't say to yourself, we plug